Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unraveling a terrifying biological mystery. We're looking at an invisible threat that has haunted humanity for decades, silently hitching rides right alongside us, completely undetected until it's far too late. Picture this. It's April 2026. A luxury cruise ship departs from Argentina. It's supposed to be the absolute vacation of a lifetime. But within days, passengers start falling severely ill. By early May, 3 people are dead, and the ship is stranded off the coast of West Africa. But here's the absolute craziest part. There was no weapon on board, no toxic chemical leak, just a completely invisible stowaway that turned a luxury vacation into a floating nightmare. So what exactly caused this terrifying paradox? To understand what happened on that cruise ship, we actually have to look backward at a much larger historical pattern, because this isn't a new threat. In 1951, right in the trenches of the Korean War, thousands of soldiers suddenly fell ill with mysterious internal bleeding near the Hantan River. Fast forward to 1993, and an unexplained respiratory illness rapidly started taking the lives of young, perfectly healthy people in the American Southwest. And then we have the 2026 cruise ship outbreak. 3 wildly different environments, separated by decades, all linked by the exact same biological assassin. So how does this thing actually jump from nature into us? Well, these viruses are naturally carried by rodents, like deer mice and rats. But here is the terrifying catch. You don't even have to touch a mouse to get infected. The delivery system is actually airborne. The virus is shed in rodent urine, droppings, and saliva. Imagine simply sweeping out a dusty, rodent-infested garage or opening up an old cabin for the summer. You disturb that dust, the virus becomes aerosolized, and you just breathe it in. It's a trap you trigger simply by taking a breath. And if you're sitting there thinking this is just some obscure, incredibly rare event, well, think again. Every single year, there are up to 100,000 global infections. That is a massive scale for a pathogen that most people only vaguely remember hearing about on the local news. We're talking about tens of thousands of people unknowingly stepping right into a biological hazard zone, often right in their own sheds, their basements, or while working out in the fields. Now, the truly chilling detail is this specific number, 15. This virus can survive for up to 15 days in a normal environment, entirely outside of a host. It acts quite literally like a biological landmine. A mouse could have vacated your barn 2 whole weeks ago, but the danger remains perfectly intact, just waiting patiently for you to walk in with a broom. So what exactly is this microscopic villain? We're looking at an Hantavirus, which is a genus of viruses carried by rodents. But here is a really profound biological paradox. It causes a persistent, totally symptomless infection in the animal. The mouse is perfectly fine. It doesn't care at all. But when we humans inhale it, our bodies trigger a severe, potentially fatal immune overreaction. The virus peacefully coexists with the mouse, but it completely wreaks havoc inside of us. Let's look under the hood to see exactly how this virus acts like a wrench thrown into our microscopic plumbing system. First, the virus is inhaled deep down into the lungs. Second, specialized glycoprotein spikes on the surface of the virus attach to receptors on our host cells. Think of it exactly like a lock and key. Third, once it's inside the cell's cytoplasm, the viral RNA rapidly replicates itself. And finally, the terrifying part, infected capillaries, which are the tiny pipes carrying our blood, begin to aggressively leak fluid. This gives us a really clear look at the real physical damage. On one side, we have healthy blood vessels, intact walls, normal blood flow, everything's working great. But on the other side, infected blood vessels. You see, the hantavirus doesn't just quietly destroy cells. It causes massive internal flooding by increasing what scientists call vascular permeability. It's essentially poking thousands of tiny holes in your internal pipes. Depending on the virus strain, this massive fluid leakage either fills up your lungs, making it impossible to breathe, or it fills your kidneys, causing acute organ failure. Which brings us to a crucial point. This is actually a tale of 2 diseases divided entirely by geography. In the Americas, we have what are called New World hantaviruses. These cause hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, attacking the lungs and heart, and they are highly lethal, with a fatality rate between 30 and 60%. But over in Europe and Asia, we have Old World hantaviruses. These cause hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, attacking the kidneys. These have a much lower fatality rate, ranging from under 1% to about 15%. It's the exact same viral family, but with entirely different targets in the human body. But right when you think you understand all the rules, there's one terrifying anomaly, the Andes virus. Found in South America, this is the one known exception that is actually capable of human-to-human transmission. And this specific, highly dangerous variant is exactly what was linked to those tragic cruise ship deaths we talked about earlier. One infected person boarded that ship, and the invisible stowaway began to spread from person to person. Now, before you start panicking, let's look at the exact parameters. As the World Health Organization responsibly points out, human-to-human transmission has been documented only for the Andes virus, and it remains quite uncommon. When it does happen, it requires close and prolonged contact. We're talking about intimate household contact here, not just casually walking past someone in the grocery store. It requires very specific, very close conditions to jump between people. That makes large-scale outbreaks rare, but obviously they can be highly lethal in confined spaces like a ship. This all brings us to a really crucial trigger for our future, the environment. Disease outbreaks are actually deeply tied to weather patterns. Remember that 1993 Four Corners outbreak we mentioned? Well, it followed an El Niño weather event. Heavy rains came right after a long drought. This massive influx of water caused an explosive boom in vegetation, which led directly to an explosive boom in the deer mouse population. More mice means more virus and a much, much higher chance for human contact. So, how do we translate all these biological mechanics into concrete protection? How do you clear out a shed without accidentally hitting a biological landmine? Well, first, seal up any holes and gaps in your home and secure all your food sources to keep the rodents out. But most importantly, when you're cleaning, never dry sweep or vacuum mouse droppings. That just launches the virus right up into your lungs. Instead, dampen the area thoroughly with a disinfectant first. Kill the virus on the ground and then wipe it up. And if you're ever clearing a risky enclosed space, always wear a protective N95 mask. Which brings us to our ultimate question. As climate change rapidly shifts our weather patterns and deforestation shrinks the gap between human and rodent habitats, our interactions with these host species are only going to increase. The biological landmines are quite literally moving closer to our front doors. So are we truly prepared for the next invisible spillover? It's a microscopic biology problem, sure, but it demands a massive, evolving, global awareness. Definitely something to think about the next time you go to sweep out the garage.